Yes, exactly. So, so I can put it online for our members who can't make it today, but then they can have a look at it later on. Okay, so let's get started. The FSLCI. Yes. Okay. Perfect. So, as probably most of you know, we are a global membership-based organization. So this was the picture taken from our last General Assembly. And we do look better than it looks here on the screen, I think. But in reality, just look left and right, and you'll see the people that, to a large extent, are also on that picture. We actually launched in 2015, so we're about 4 years old. We actually officially launched during LTM 2015, which was hosted by Guido in Bordeaux. And we have around, between 150 and 200 members. That always changes a little bit when credit cards expire, and some people take a little longer to renew, and so on and so forth. But that's sort of the figure. But what is quite nice, as I said, we're a global membership-based organization. So we actually have members on all continents around the world, or at least the 5 major ones. There are always definition questions on how many continents there are, right?
Nobody in Antarctica.
Nobody in Antarctica, exactly. But we might want to introduce an additional category for the icebergs, as long as they are still with us. So, as a global membership organization, we do partner with all the national networks, or many national networks that are out there. These are some of our current partner organizations. Actually, there are more, but I forgot to put them to update the website. So, some you will notice there's the FSLCI, which is based in the US. Tim is here from the Australian one. We have AFNIR in France, Alcans in New Zealand, and then the Indonesian one, FICI in India. We have Colombia, the Ibero-American network, the Red Italia, the Swedish Life Cycle Center, and the International Life Cycle Assessment Society of Japan. And the Peruvian network is about to join, and we're in talks with the Argentinian network. So essentially, what we're trying to do is to partner with all the lifecycle networks that already exist, because at the end of the day, we don't want to compete with what's already out there, but we're here to support those that are already working very much in connecting people and spreading lifecycle knowledge. Now, from an organizational perspective, this is a good overview of how we actually are organized. So we have our General Assembly, which will follow, or this is part of the General Assembly, and then the official part will follow. Sorry, mute everyone who's joined here. Myself. Whoop. Okay. So the General Assembly essentially elects the Board of Directors into office. What's interesting here is that a maximum of 16 members can be elected, and those that are elected can essentially decide to bring in additional perspectives from organizations which they feel would contribute to the decision-making process at the board. And that is a total of 8 people. So the board could, in theory, encompass 24 people. Right now, I think we're at 11 in total. And we will see today that when we go into the official part for the members, we will see that half of the current board drops out. That is mainly due to the fact that we have term limits. So a board member can only be re-elected once in a consecutive term, and then there's a change. This way, we always try to bring in new people, but also we keep continuity of half of the board. So because every year there's a General Assembly, but members of the board are elected for 2 years, there's always sort of some members that remain on the board, and then there are new members that join the board, and that way we always essentially ensure that there's, on the one hand side, continuity, but on the other hand side, also new faces that add to the discussions on the board. Finally, we have the Executive Committee, which has so far been operated by Jim, where you up right in the middle, Guido over here, and myself. And then we do have, I mean, it's still committees. We are now calling them mostly working groups, but it's the same thing, where we do some work, and I will get to that in a sec. So that's sort of how we are organized on the governance perspective. Oh, just okay, thank you. Okay, so on that note, let's continue. One of the major things that the board essentially decided in terms of changing some of the services or making them available to a larger to the community is going along with the fact that what we're calling the Global Lifecycle Community Platform. What that actually means is that the platform that we have operated so far only for our members, parts of it we are opening to the community, so anyone can create an account on our platform. I'll just quickly go through what the platform offers. On the one hand side, you see here the events calendar, we have a jobs portal, and this discussion board. I always say it's a little bit like a LinkedIn or a Facebook for lifecycle professionals, so you can share news. And you can create your own profile and put it on a map. So we have this members map here, and then you can see essentially you always see the people that are on the first page here on the map, and then if you click on the on page 2 or 3 or whatever, the map changes, and you can zoom in. So the resolution is not really good here with the projector, but that is a spider, and the more you zoom in, the more you see where people are close to you, or you just use the search engine and find people nearby. A profile looks a little bit like this. This is my profile, and here you have the opportunity to write a little bit about you, enter some data that is now nicely not readable, so there's no privacy concerns here, and here you have the badge, which indicates whether you're a member or whether you're a free user, so you can always see that, and you can sort of put some skills and your favorite quote and these kinds of things on there. What we offer for our members, or where we work really as a skill-sharing network, is that we run a series of webinars from our members to our members, and this is hidden essentially for free users. So this is just available for our members, and I would say on a yearly basis we run between 8 and 10 webinars on all kinds of topics. So here we have sort of for example, science-based targets and LCA, sustainability assessment, bioeconomy, marine litter and LCA. So sort of it's a good mix of an overview of all kinds of different topics in our community. And then in addition to that, we have a number of working groups. These are also functioning at the same time as discussion boards online. So we have a working group on regional sustainable development. On our ISO liaison, we are a liaison member with ISO. On marine litter and LCA, which is a key topic, and probably I hope most of you know about the Medellin Declaration that we launched 2 years ago. We have one on digitalization and LCA, and this is a good example of how we work together with other networks. So this is actually a joint working group with ATLCA, with our American partner organization, so their members can also join this. And then we have sort of the academic partnership or lifecycle education group. And I just want to highlight here that essentially those two are open for anyone to join. The others are again hidden and just available for members. But these two topics we figure are so important for the community that any discussion around this subject should be open to anyone. And so by making now the platform available, we hope that the discussions will take place there, and you can share and join what is discussed in these groups. All right, now I feel I've been talking enough, so maybe Pia, you update us quickly on what the ISO group has done.
Okay, in essence, this year, for all of our previous members, we have revitalized the ISO group.
You want to come over here so the others can hear?
Oh, yeah. Hello, I will repeat that. For all of our previous members, this year we have made the effort to revitalizing our ISO group. And with that, we have been voting, well, not voting, but sending our feedback on the ISO discussions on different standards. For instance, the amendments that were made to ISO 1440 and 1444 a few months back. And this is something that is really exciting for our community because we can actually help write the standards that will then be the ones that we will use for our studies. So if you're interested in changing the way that things happen, join the ISO group. We also made the report for our ISO liaison this year, and I believe that's been more or less it.
Yeah, perfect. Great. Thanks so much, Pia. Wonderful.
Just a question.
Yes.
What are the ISO standards that you're working on? I mean, is it LCA only, or is it a broader range?
No, right now we're working on the SC5 or 5, yeah. And we are thinking on joining the one on circular economy. We have to write our application to the group. Yeah.
Exactly. Very good. Wonderful. Then we move to our second focus area. Whoops, too fast. Which is where we ran a workshop in the beginning of the year. So you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so we were able to join forces with IUCN here in Antwerp at the World Resource Forum meeting, and we had a broad discussion on the topic of marine litter and how life cycle can contribute to this. And based on this, we engaged further, and we have now open lines of work with IUCN, on that topic in order, to move that agenda. They have been really active in highlighting not, the way how it's your life cycle, but that this is an issue. So therefore, it was quite relevant for us to take this opportunity at the World Resource Forum to work with them on marine litter in a very broader sense and bringing our expertise to that workshop. So, and then there was another one. I could not go to the Costa Rica, unfortunately, this year, so I don't know you or Jim who will.
Exactly. So, so the ISO workshop, the marine litter workshop was called Plastic for Lunch, which was placative enough to draw some people, which is nice. The main project in the field of marine litter that you might have heard about is the Marilka project, which we're actually supporting together with the Life Cycle Initiative. It is an independent working group that is co-chaired by Ian Vasquez and Anne-Marie Boulet. And there's also a poster over there that talks a little bit more about Marilka and what it's all about, but it essentially focuses on the impact side of things. So there are some other projects that we're also partially involved in that focus on the inventory side. So for example, there's the Qantas Leaks project where we are in the advisory council. There's the PACNO Plus project, which is a Norwegian research project where we're involved in also to sort of bring the international perspective to that project. And then there's Marilka, which essentially is a combination of a project in itself and a meta project where a lot of different projects are meant to be operated under the Marilka heading. As a follow-up to some of the workshops that we carried out on marine litter, we actually recently organized a workshop on marine litter and LCA in the context of Latin America in Costa Rica, in the context of the SILCA conference. So this is what you see here. Again, together with the Lifecycle Initiative and the Ibero-American Lifecycle Network, and with the workshop was kindly supported by Braskem. So that's a little bit of a quick overview of what we do in the field of marine litter. And now let's look at our regional working group. Fritz, unfortunately, who's chairing the working group, is not here, but maybe Guido, you can talk a little bit about that.
So you have a slide only on the
Then they have to do the workshop.
in Bordeaux.
Yeah, but they have to find out.
Okay, so then we have actually started in 2012 with the first summer school on sustainable regional development, life cycle approaches for this. Und das war this was in Italy, and we have then with the LCM 2015 moved on to Bordeaux and to other places, and this year, the first time, it was done in Berlin, this life cycle summer school, and it was the first time, that was, that we had 50 applications and 30 were only, it was the maximum, so it was really at the top, sort of, from the participations, and with what was always the idea to have a mixture between the ones that are more technically coming from the assessment side, with those also from the regions and also companies that would in the region implement life cycle approaches. So this was a quite successful event, and here you have some of the students also present, at least one I've seen moving in, so you can also talk to them. So, and because the idea of the actual working group is not only to have a summer school to link this, to dissemination education, but the actual interest of that group is to promote the use of life cycle approaches at regional development. We organized a particular workshop in Bordeaux this spring with a number of regional governments, mainly from Europe, but from different countries, with whom we shared their challenges to really actually use it at the regional level and what could be done, so bringing sort of the supply and demand side together and looking forward. And the workshop report, you have it perhaps somewhere here, is downloadable from the website. So this is, it's done to share this experience with you, and the idea is to now move this also to the national level. We are in contact with the Portuguese, so that they are, we really have some pilots where we bring this to the next level. And for the summer school also, Fritz Balko is in contact with an Indian colleague to also bring it out of the actual European context to replicate the summer schools elsewhere. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Guido. And one more thing on the regional one that we didn't mention is that actually there's a new project under the Interreg, the European Interreg framework, which is called LCA for Regions. And even though we are not an official project partner, it was Fritz Balkau, our member and chair of the working group, who actually wrote the draft for the proposal together with a number of regions that came together at the workshop in Bordeaux. So here, essentially, again, we helped the regions that were interested in the topic put together the proposal, and will help them also throughout the implementation phase. So that's one more activity where we are somehow involved, even though not maybe in an official capacity, because it's in between regions from an organizational perspective. All right, I'll leave the slide here because to the right you see our education working group. Toby, you want to say a few words about that?
Yes, I think so. We have an education working group within FSLCI. Actually, at the moment it's mostly on higher education. It involves several universities. Some people are here in the audience, so you can talk to them. We started, I think, at the last Life Cycle Management Conference in Luxembourg, and then we also met in Bordeaux. And we have exchanged our experiences with teaching LCA in higher education from bachelor to PhD levels. We discussed the degree of literacy that you can achieve in LCA teaching, depending on how many courses you run and how many credits you get. And so we distinguish different types of, let's say, LCA knowledge and LCA proficiency. This ideally will also end up in a paper that we are currently working on teaching LCA in higher education. And so anyone from the academic field that is interested to join that group that works on that paper and is very enthusiastic to get a publication done and maybe even be the first author, you are still very welcome, because we have many good ideas, we have a structure and so forth, but we might need some more people to finally get it done. So if you feel enthusiastic about doing a paper on this topic, we are more than happy to get you into our group and let you push us through the process.
Okay, thanks so much, Toby. Wonderful. And then we have Martina to report on our working group of digitalization.
Not move so quickly. I think people might wish to.
Is it okay to ask a question?
Oh yeah, of course.
Where are the universities from? Is it only European?
So far we had mainly European universities and one American university. But any university that's interested in joining should come and talk to us. Yes. Okay. All right. Then we have Martina, who chairs the digitalization working group, which didn't have a physical meeting yet. But she's
Of course, it's digital.
Of course, exactly. But I throw the pictures of another activity behind her, and she can report on both.
Yeah, let's start with the digital and LCA and blockchain working group. That came out of an activity that happened last year at ACLCA conference, where the organizational committee was approaching me and also Julie from WSP, who is more active in the US, if we could put a panel together. And then we said, oh, we should not just put a panel together, but this topic is so interesting, we want to learn more about it, and we want to bring people together. And I think we had 2 or 3 calls, and the work program is still under progress. So if you are among them to want to learn about that, contribute to that, this working group is still receiving members. And what was interesting, we have always the 2 perspectives, LCA of digitalization and using digitalization and blockchain for better access to LCA data. And the 2 aspects are really always in the interest and always in the discussion of everybody who joins. And so both is represented there. What you see behind me is the R.3.0. It's R3.0. It used to be reporting, but it changed. The R's nowadays are for redesign, for resilience and regeneration. Understanding that our whole system will, if we don't change it, not be able to regenerate. And already 3 years ago, we joined, we started a type of a liaison with the community there to bring lifecycle thinking into the R3.0 community and also to inspire us. And one of the results was what you can see here. That's called the R3.0 strategy continuum, where you use backcasting. That's nothing really new. But we put here in that corner down to say, okay, where do we want to go as a lifecycle community? And we, as a lifecycle community, and that is also something FSLCI wants to achieve, that lifecycle information is used throughout decision making. And then asking ourselves where we are now and how our information is used, and then mapping out what needs to happen. And one of the interesting results from that was connecting with regions is important. And so it came really nicely together to see that we have activities there and we can even more connect them, and there's also regenerative communities coming up across the globe that we can connect. And so from that we can learn and go on, and it's not that only one person has to be a link for that.
there's more spaces to link, and the community can be linked through more than one person. So join also that activity.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so that has hopefully given you a little bit of an overview over the variety of activities in which we as an organization and some of our members are involved. And now I just wanted to use the remaining time before we get in, hopefully into a conversation with you guys to show you what is coming up next. So one of the things that we are piloting this year is our Circular Economy Barcamp. You might have already seen the violet flyer on our booth, or you can take one over here. If you guys have never heard about the word Barcamp, Barcamp is a format that we tested last year during our first Lifecycle Innovation Conference. It essentially means that at the beginning of the day you come, you present a topic that you would like to have an open conversation on, and if there's enough interest in the room, you get a time and a room assigned, and then essentially that way we build the program on the fly. So it's not like you have to hand in your abstract and then half a year later you report, but it's really something interactive and sort of highly collaborative, and it's not meant to be someone presenting and talking to you like I'm doing now, but really having an interactive conversation. So that's going to happen at the end of November. And then we're really thrilled to invite you to our second iteration of the Lifecycle Innovation Conference, which we ran last year for the first time. And based on the feedback that we received, I think it was a really, really unique and interesting experience. Quite different from the LCM in terms of the spirit of collaborativeness and interactivity. Again, from a format perspective, we have a few traditional abstract-based presentations. We have a number of workshops, and then we also operate barcamp sessions. So essentially, we have 3 different formats, and we are connecting here with the innovation community. And in this context, I'm really happy to announce that the INSPIM network, which is, I always get this wrong, the International Network of
Professionals
in Innovation Management. Yes.
We get it together.
Whoop! Exactly. So it's the innovation community, the global innovation community, and they are running their innovation conference the days before our conference takes place. And their conference is, because it's going to be run by Professor Fichter, who was the keynote speaker last year, who runs the Borderstep Institute for Innovation and Sustainability. So they run their innovation conference with a focus on sustainability, and then we run our sustainability conference with a focus on innovation. And so this is why we decided to link the 2 conferences together, have them run back to back. And on Wednesday, that means in practical terms that they will organize a number of innovation tours, and some of our participants then will also be able to take part in these innovation tours. We will run a session with them, and so there's hopefully also a crossover in the audience between the 2 conferences. That's also one of the reasons why we moved to June. So it's going to happen from 10th to 12th of June next year in Berlin. And for those of you who were with us last year, it's going to happen in the same venue, but the venue is undergoing renovations. So it's going to be interesting to see that even though we'll be in the same venue, which is used to be a church, that it will be different, but still I'm looking forward to hosting the conference and hopefully welcoming many of you. All right, so that's been sort of the general update part, and now we get to questions and answers. Yes.
So, are you sure the renovation will be ready when the conference?
I asked her the same question, and she said yes. So we'll trust and hope. And I know Berlin and big construction projects has not the best reputation, but this should be a smaller and more manageable size. So I'm hopeful. Not the airport, exactly. Yes. Okay. Questions? Anything you would like to know from us? Anything that was not clear? Feedback? Silence. Yes.
For the circular economy barcamp,
Yes.
I was thinking of joining a master's student. So I wanted to ask, now that I know the audience of the members, is it more business or industry, like directed to, or more academia, PhD students, or
With barcamps, you never know.
You never know who's going to turn up. Yes, exactly. So this is, I can only guess. I mean, obviously we're catering to the people that we usually reach. And for our conference, we had a good mix of academics, but also industry participation, as well as students. So I think it was more or less a quarter each. But then again, you really never know. So it's hard for me to tell. And also, the barcamp only works if enough people sign up. So that is simply the nature of the barcamp, right? So the early bird deadline is the 15th of September, just for you guys if you're thinking about signing up. That might save you a few euro. And then we will essentially review in October whether we have enough registrations, and then essentially let you know how we operate, and then I can also tell you about the sort of distribution. But yeah, with the barcamp, it's a little bit of a risk, but if it works, it's going to be great. So we'll see. All right, other questions?
For the conference, when will be the abstract?
Yeah, the abstracts, I think this is here on the flyer. Yes. So we're going to open at the 1st of November, and the call for abstract runs until the end of January. So, yes, end of January is the cutoff date. Yeah. And then the early bird is end of March.
Are you looking for session chairs as well as just abstracts?
Yeah, well, generally, we'll again run the process the way we did it last year, which means that we don't have set sessions, but we invite abstracts on all kinds of topics. We have sort of guided themes like we had last year, and then based on the themes, we will essentially determine the session. Based on the abstract that we receive, we will determine the sessions. So we're doing it a little bit more sort of looking what we get and then assigning sessions and session chairs.
But
Yes.
but I think we again look for committee, scientific committee members.
Exactly, absolutely, yes. So anyone who wants to help us out as part of the conference organization is more than welcome to do that. Yes. Nastia.
For reviewing, do you use a system? I mean, the submission of the abstract is
Yeah.
the podium or the
Yeah.
system will work.
Yeah.
Okay.
So same system like.
Zoom or
Well, last year we used Podio, and we will have to discuss with based on the experience. But I checked with the people, and so far for the it was okay for those who submitted and those who reviewed. So I think it. Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
Question about your job posting, the web page.
Yeah.
Some kind of statistics for maybe people change their job or maybe find a job.
Yeah. So I can tell you that it's the most visited page on our website. So I think that it has good traction, but obviously the traction correlates with the jobs that are on the platform, right? So right now I think we have just 2 or 3 because it's summertime and everyone is just coming out of holidays and is not that much out there, but that changes. So sometimes I have 20 to 30 open positions, and sometimes I just have 3 or 5. So depending on, it's also interesting to see that some positions are open for 2 months and some are just open for 1.5 weeks in terms of when they submitted or when I see them, and then there's quite a variation. So, but if people put it online, we have a quite high Google ranking generally. That also applies for your profiles. So with the profiles, you can determine what should be visible or not. So that way, if someone Googles you, if you were to Google Martina, for example, I think her profile with us is higher than her LinkedIn profile, or on the same rate. So from a search engine rating perspective, we're pretty high up there. Okay. Any further questions? Anything else you want to know, or feedback from those who haven't become a member yet? Any questions on or suggestions on what you would like us to see do? Silence. Okay, doesn't matter. We are right on time, so literally we had 45 minutes for this introductory part, so we're 46 minutes in, which I think is awesome. So then we'll do a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll continue with the General Assembly that is reserved to members, where we will elect our new board into office. So I hope to see many of you sign up. If you want to become a member, there's a 15% discount code for the first year of your membership. You can come to my booth, which is to our booth, which is next to the workshop rooms. You can grab some of the flyers, and I hope to see many of you join us. Okay, thanks everyone for the time being.